Councillor Lyons?
Happy to second that.
Councillor Lyons, are you happy to accept?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Councillor.
Okay, thank you, fellow councillors. Before we get started, I think most people know each other, but if you can just introduce ourselves. So I'll go across my list here. So Councillor Nan?
Hi, my name is Paul Nan. I'm a councillor for Wish.
Councillor Parrott?
Yes, Councillor Sam Parrott. I'm the councillor for Westbourne and Poets Corner.
Rebecca?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm the legal advisor to the panel, and I was just going to say, don't forget the procedural business.
Of course. Emily?
Good afternoon, everyone. Emily Fountain, Licensing Officer, presenting the application.
Okay, we have our visitors. So we have is it Ali? I think you're on mute. No, are you coming off mute? And no, okay. And also, anybody else in the room at the moment?
Yeah, my name is Sean Hughes. I'm the clerk for the meeting from Democratic Services. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm Councillor Ivan Lyons for West Dean and Hove Park wards. So I think we've all introduced ourselves.
Hello.
Yes, hello there.
Hello,
Oh,
yes. It's Inga Smith from Madam Jennifer Distillery.
Lovely. Okay. Anybody else?
Sarah Booker-Lewis, Local Democracy reporter for Brighton and Hove, representing the majority of news media in the city.
Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else in the room? No. Okay. So in terms of procedural business, is there any declaration of substitutes today? Nope. Are there any declarations of interest from the councillors? Nope. So in terms of the press and public, there are no. Oh, sorry, Rebecca, you've got your hands up.
Sorry, do finish the procedural business and then I'll come in.
Okay. So in terms of the press and the public, there are no non-public items on this agenda, and therefore we will not be excluding the press and public for any item today. We are being webcast, so all in open session. In terms of the application, this is an application for a variation of a premises licence for Madam Jennifer Distillery, which is based at Unit 7 Poets Corner House in 83A Montgomery Street, Hove. Before we begin, can I ask all around, well, we have all introduced ourselves in terms of the panel. Please ensure that your microphone is on when speaking, and if possible, your camera is as nice to see as possible. It's always good to see people. Please turn off your microphone and camera when not speaking. Please briefly indicate the procedure. Briefly indicate the procedure to be followed. We've got somebody else who wants to come into the lobby at the moment. I presume one of the clerks can admit.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, through you, Chair. I think we should just check because there's another. I think we should just check that Alice. There's Alice and then there's Julian who's just come.
Yeah.
Maybe they can be asked to introduce themselves and check that Alice can actually hear what's going on and speak. Thanks.
Okay. So Alice, are you in the room?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. That's right.
Oh,
Brilliant.
okay. Sorry.
And ideally, could you put your camera on ideally so we can see you? It's always nice to see a face.
Sure. I'm doing this from Australia, so I'm actually in my pajamas in bed. So if you can see me for a second, but I'm staying up to make this meeting, so please excuse me.
It's all right. You're more than happy to. You don't have to be videoed by any means if you feel uncomfortable. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Alice and I live at 85 Montgomery Street, or flat 2. So with Julian, he's the downstairs flat 1 and we're flat 2. So we sort of overlook the premise at the back where the distillery is, very close proximity.
Fine, thank you. And Julian, I can see you as well. So would you like to introduce yourself briefly as well?
I'm Julian. Me and my missus, she's a bit delayed and she'll be here in a minute, hopefully. We live below Alice and Finn, and our premises, our flat backs out. We have a courtyard that sort of backs onto the distillery area, sort of thing. So,
Right, okay, perfect. Is there anybody else in the room that hasn't introduced themselves? Fine, okay. So I appreciate that your partner's going to be coming to the meeting as well, Julian. But
yeah,
she's
she'll
not
probably
hit
just
them.
join me anyway. But just carry on. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. So, actually, somebody called, is it Finn Hudson Prentice is coming into the
Yes,
wanting to come into the lobby?
That's my partner. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Is Finn in the room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Finn, do you briefly want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Finn. I live at 85 Montgomery Street. Yeah, I heard about this through what was displayed outside of our flat. So
Okay.
yeah, I've got nothing else. So
Fine. Okay. Right. Thanks for introducing yourself. So could I ask everybody to have their microphones turned off unless they're speaking? Thank you. So we've all introduced ourselves. So I'm now going to introduce the licensing officer, who is Emily Fountain, to introduce the application. So over to you, Emily.
Thank you, Chair. This hearing is to determine the application for a variation of a premises licence for Madam Jennifer Distillery. The existing hours for the sale of alcohol are Monday 9 till 5, Tuesday to Saturday 9 to 21:30, and Sunday 12 to 1600. The variation seeks Sunday to Thursday 0900 to 21:30, and Friday and Saturday 0900 to 2200 for alcohol sales on and off the premises. It also seeks to amend amend Annex 2, Conditions 2, 3 and 4, and it was originally to remove Condition 1. However, following an agreement with Sussex Police, the variation is now to amend Condition 1, and this agreement can be found in Appendix C on page 43. The amendments to the conditions 2, 3 and 4 and the rationale for this can be found in Appendix A on page 22. The operating schedule, section 16 of the application, can also be found in Appendix A on page 21. The existing licence can be found in Appendix B. I'll leave it to the applicant to explain the proposed variation in more detail, but in brief, the application describes the premises as a small independent craft distillery located in Poets Corner, Hove. The premises is primarily used for the production of distilled spirits and currently operates distillery tours. 4 representations were received. They were received from local residents. Representations received had concerns relating to the prevention of public nuisance. Full details of the representations can be found in Appendix C. The applicant's response to representations clarifying the application can be found in Appendix D, and a map of the location of the premises can be found in Appendix E. Our statement of licensing policy includes a matrix approach for licensing decisions, which can be found from page 10 of today's agenda. The matrix model recognises the diverse operation and different risks presented by different classes of licensed premises. It provides the framework of what the licensing authority would like to see within its area and gives an indication of the likelihood of success or otherwise to investors and local businesses making applications. This premises does not fall within the city stress area or the special stress area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Emily. Are there any questions in relation to what has just been said from members of the panel to Emily? No, doesn't appear that there is.
Really.
Okay. So are there any questions in relation to what has just been said from those having made representations? So any local residents have any questions to Emily in regard to that? You can nod or raise your hand, click on the button.
Not at the moment. No, not from me
Okay,
at the
no,
moment.
that's fine.
Really, once it's digested, then I will make some
Yeah.
comments. Obviously,
Yeah.
it all
Yes,
seems a bit, without being horrible, it's all sort of section this and section that, and it's probably jargon that most of us can't really, don't really know, really, if I'm
Okay.
brutally honest. So until
Okay.
it's sort of digested down to nitty gritties, then
Yeah, there'll be an opportunity for the residents to speak and ask questions. So just bear with us. Are there any questions in relation to what has just been said from the applicant? No. Okay. No, fine. Okay. So in terms of the residents, I think we have, several residents here today. So, you can all speak, or some of you speak, or one of you speak. Is completely up to you. If you do want to speak, residents, if you could just click on the button, the raise with the hand. If we do have quite a few residents that do want to speak, I will probably stop after a couple of residents so that we can then take questions. So any residents want to make a representation at this particular moment?
not at the moment. No.
Okay. Yes, Rebecca. Yeah.
Well, it's just that in the procedure, it's your opportunity now as residents to make your representations, and then any questions can be asked of you from the panel or the applicants, and then the applicant goes after, and then you get the opportunity to ask questions of her. I mean, do you want to just say something at the moment, or I mean, there will, you could say something later as well. There'll be an opportunity to summarize, but this is kind of now your opportunity to say something if you wish to speak to your representation, your letter that you've sent in.
I'm happy to talk quickly if that's all right.
Yes, please do. So
just in regards to obviously the points that are raised and the issues that we've had with the application. Obviously, when we moved in as residents in the local area, our main concern was that obviously with there being businesses out the back, that we didn't want to sort of purchase a property that would be loud at certain periods of time in the afternoon or late evening, just because my partner and I both work. Well, Alice works from home quite a lot, which sometimes runs into the evening, and also works early mornings, which means we like to sort of get to bed quite early to make sure that we're ready for the next day. Our main concern was that if there is extra noise and people coming in and out of the premises, like we hear almost everything inside of our building that happens outside. It's not very well insulated. So the main concern for us was like obviously more traffic coming into the area, meaning for us, our bedroom backs onto where the distillery is, which means our evenings will be more disrupted and just a lot of noise around. And obviously you're not talking about direct hours changing, but having more people around, especially with more alcohol involved, people don't tend to abide by being quiet leaving premises. So that was our main sort of concern, to be honest.
Thank you. Any other residents that want to ask any questions at this particular moment or make a statement in terms of their experiences or noise or any regard to the application?
No, all I would say is I totally agree with what Finn said, and it's the same sort of situation with us, because we back onto there as well, even though it probably affect them more so than us. So I'll just go with what Finn said, and obviously there's like a roll shutter there as well, so it's in and out. We seem to have a few problems with the shutter sort of thing as well, as it is with access, and how that's going to work. And it's not only that, and I don't know if the applicants are aware, that all of that back area is going to be developed, i.e. it's going to be made houses. And what we've been told is you won't be driving into the area where the distillery is. So how is that going to affect things? Or are we almost like, oh, we can't park in here anymore, there's no driving, because potentially I think they're going to put sleeping policemen up. So is the distillery then the parking area going to be used as an outside drinking area? And obviously with the hours that was mentioned earlier, 9:30 and 10 o'clock, it's pretty much what Finn just said, you know, it's late activity, and where alcohol's involved, some people don't have a switch off, you know.
Yeah, thank you. I'll now take some questions from the panel, and then after the panel have asked some questions, then we'll give an opportunity for other residents to come back in and make a representation, ask questions. So, so without further ado, Councillor Parrott.
Yeah, can I just ask, what levels of disturbance are you currently getting, and have you spoken to the distillery about that? You know, in the first place. So have you opened a conversation with them if you are getting disturbance at the moment?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
We haven't. So I would say that there's no level of disturbance that we weren't expecting because of the hours in the day. So at the moment, it happens in working hours throughout the day. So for me, that's not really an issue when it's sort of happening between 11, 12, 1, 2, whatever. That's not really an issue to us.
Yeah.
Obviously, we expect there's going to be noise. You live in a busy neighbourhood, so that's not really of concern. It's more just when that creeps into later hours and people obviously start to get louder naturally with alcohol and intoxication. So that's my main concern about that. We're not fussed about people obviously being noisy. Like, we've had builders working around our area for months on end doing things. So it's not in the daytime, it's more when it pushes past sort of like 5, 6 o'clock when you want to be winding down.
Okay. Okay, I don't understand the relevance. Can you try and elaborate a little bit more about, because what the housing and stuff you're talking about, that hasn't been to planning, you know, so that's not, can you elaborate a bit more about that? Why you think that's going to happen? Because it's not something I'm aware of.
Well,
Aware of, sorry, there being noise?
No, one of you were talking about planning and housing being built and parking concerns.
Yeah. Well, basically, the guy we bought our flats off is developing what was a retail place opposite the distillery, and it's going to become houses. Well, we've seen the plans and all of that for it, so we take it that it's going to start any minute almost. We've been told by the guy that owns the plot and owns that driveway that it's going to go ahead any minute. So that, I don't know if the applicant is aware of all of this, to be honest. So you've got sort of two issues. You've got the actual distillery and the noise level, but there will be work being done there as well. So really, from our point of view, it's a bit of a double whammy. And I don't know if the applicant is aware that how it's going to affect them as well, if I'm brutally honest.
Well, okay, and I guess it's not the applicant, the current licensing applications. They've got nothing to do with the planning of these houses that haven't come to planning yet.
No, I don't know.
No. Okay, all right.
Oh, sorry, I'm just joining. So I don't know if my husband's mentioned this, but my concern is once they start offering, making a wider offering of alcohol.
We just said this.
Oh,
Finn just said that. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, because there could be like back-to-back tours. So constantly, there's going to be people coming backwards and forwards. The more they drink, the noise level is going to rise.
We just said that. Finn just said that.
Sorry.
Sorry, she just appeared.
I've just
joined.
joined.
Sorry, not appeared.
Sorry.
That's fine. Any other comments from councillors from the panel?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any questions in relation? This is to the applicant. So any questions in relation to what has been said from yourself?
not questions. I've maybe got some information and just some background to what's happening at the moment and why we're applying for this variation and that kind of thing. So
that's fine.
Should I just go into that now, or do you want to?
Yeah, no, you can do that in a moment. I'll ask you to hand over to representation. But before I do that, any other comments from any other of the other residents actually in the room at the moment?
No.
Right, okay. With the residents, you will have an opportunity to come back later on this hearing. But okay, so without further ado, yeah, I'll hand over to yourself as the applicant to make your representation.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Inga Smith. I'm the co-founder of Madam Jennifer Distillery. We've been in that building since 2017. Founded the distillery. They've sold our first bottle in 2018. And we started running distillery tours from this premises in 2020. It was a bit stop and start at the beginning due to the COVID rules. But we've been successfully running tours without really any complaints that we've heard of. And part of that is due to our licensing, is that we are only licensed to sell our own products, which is partly what we're asking for in our variation, is to do a more range of products so that we can offer some gin tastings and things like that from other local distilleries. But we have a maximum of 10 people who are allowed per tour at a time. And they must be pre-booked. The other thing to notice particularly is that our distillery is part of the Poets' Corner House building. And we are located right at the very back of that building. And all of the distillery tours take place within our distillery. So they don't take place in the car park, and the car park actually doesn't belong to us. There are 7 units within there. We're unit 7. So there are comings and goings from a number of people within that building, but it's not necessarily all us and our customers that are coming in and going at different times. The changes in the timelines are just to try and make it a little bit easier, because we have sales on and off the premises. So people can pop in and buy a bottle of gin if they let us know when they're coming in. Then we have that facility, and then usually we're offering tours on sort of Fridays and Saturdays. So that's the change in the timelines. And then the conditions are just changing so that we can offer sort of pre-booked tasting events. So there is no plan to run a sort of bar style kind of premises. It will all be pre-booked with tours booked via our website. And then we will generally, we meet them outside and then escort them into the building, which is at the very back of the building. So I do understand that there is noise in the courtyard sometimes. And I think that's probably not also the other residents and the other businesses are moving things in and out of their premises as well. So I think it's not, we're probably actually one of the quieter of the businesses within the business, within the Poets' Corner House building itself. So we are also aware that the building has been on the market previously and is again on the market, but we still need to operate a business. And as you probably know, it's tough times in hospitality at the moment. There's increasing costs all the time, cost of goods, cost of transport, that kind of thing. And we've offered tours successfully to many local residents, but we found that you wouldn't go on a tour twice. So how can we get those customers back for a second time? How can we offer other sorts of tastings within our offering? We do get inspected. We've had environmental health inspectors for and had a 5 out of 5 rating for food hygiene. We also get inspected by HMRC because we're dealing with alcohol, and they're interested very much in the tax on alcohol as well. And I think that's probably it. Oh, well, maybe to say, so I think all of the complaints were from residents of 85 Montgomery Street. And just to point out that this is, I think there was some misunderstanding that we were going to operate some sort of pub within the car park. And I just wanted to reassure the residents that that isn't the case. We are just continuing the work that we've been doing so far on the tours. They are kind of a low impact. People come in, and our age range, for example, last weekend we had 6 people and on a tour, and it was a 70th birthday. So generally, they're not the young people drinking and smoking or anything like that. People are paying £30 to come in, have some taste of our product range, a gin and tonic, and then they usually tours usually last about an hour, so then they're off on their way. Anything else on my notes? So yeah, I think this is currently minimal disruption, and I don't see that there would be any increase in the disruption to the residents.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you, Inga. So what we're doing now, we're going to take some questions from the panel to your good self, Inga. And then once the questions have been done and dusted, it will be an opportunity for the residents who are here today to ask questions as well. So do stick around. So without further ado, Councillor Parrott, I think you were first.
So Inga, hi. So I just wanted to check. So apart from the tours, how else do you sell alcohol? And can I just walk in off the street and buy a bottle of gin?
So if we're in, you can. So we're not open all the time. We distribute via our website, and then we also bulk of our products go via fine wine merchants and off licenses, so things like Quaff that's around the corner. We also do occasional kind of markets and gin festivals, things like that as well. So yeah, the majority is through.
Yeah, so my point is, in the main, it's not like a shop where you just pop in and, so you're not selling to the general public at large.
No, generally people who come in and buy a bottle are people who've been on a distillery tour, and then we would generally ask them to send us a message on the website, and then they could pop in and purchase something.
Okay.
So there is a few other there were a few other businesses in there that had people coming in and out as well of the building.
Such as
Brighton Sewing Company, which were running sewing classes in the evening, and then also having people coming in and out as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, as I thought. Okay. All right, great. Yeah, for now.
Thank you, Councillor Parrott. Councillor Nan?
Thank you, Chair. I just got a few questions. Thanks for your presentation, Inga. Inga, where do you advertise your tours?
We advertise on our website, and then we also advertise on we have a Instagram and Facebook accounts as well. So that's...
Okay. Do you get many hen and stag do's?
We have had one hen do in our 6 years of tours, and no stag do's.
Thank you. Just a couple of other things as well. So what would the essential difference between a tour and a tasting be?
At the moment we can only taste our own products. So if we couldn't, we wouldn't be able to do something like tasting Sussex gins or other distillery Sussex distillers products. So there are a number of other independent businesses like Goldstone Rum that do rum, and there is Spirit of the Downs, which is does brandy. So I'd quite like to do Sussex, Best of Sussex distillers tastings, where it's a similar sort of thing, where it's an hour, but it's rather than just our products, it's products from other independent distilleries and that kind of thing. Hence the change agreed with the police on the wording.
I was just going to ask about that wording, Inga. Like it says, sales will be limited to your own stuff, and then it says other independent producers' products being ancillary.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what would classify someone as an independent producer? I don't think there's any official sort of classification along those lines, is there?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we also, things like small batch is a word that's used quite a lot in distilling that doesn't really have a proper definition. I think, you know, we are at our price point, we're sort of £30. We've never really had any trouble with, you know, underage drinking or anybody trying to get in or anything like that, because of you have to plan to come on a distillery tour and you're paying £30 for a gin and tonic and a few tastings. So it's not we're not selling low cost alcohol and getting people drunk or anything like that. So the idea was we would do more premium products because we are a premium business as well. You can buy a bottle of gin in Aldi for, I don't know, 20 quid, whereas our cheapest gin is £30 and it's a 50 centilitre as well. So we are more expensive because we are a small craft independent business.
Just two more questions, if that's all right. If a definition of
Sorry, really sorry to interrupt through you, but Finn has indicated that he has to leave. And I just wonder whether you may want to give, if you hold those questions, Councillor,
yeah, sure, happy
may
to
want to just give him the opportunity, or put maybe the questions in the chat. I don't know, but I'm just mindful that someone has to leave. And
sure, okay.
Very sorry about
Finn,
that. Sorry.
No, Finn, do you want to ask a question of the applicant?
No, it was just sort of referring back to Inga. Like, thanks for presenting what you did. It was more just a couple of points really based on those. I know that you were saying that people obviously and other businesses pass in and out of the property, which I have said before, like we obviously expected that. Unfortunately, from our side, still for me, I feel like I know you're not saying that it's a big sort of stag do or event where you're hosting loads and loads of alcohol and people are getting extortionately drunk, but unfortunately at the moment we don't get much foot noise or traffic through the area past sort of 6:30, 7 o'clock anyway. They usually shut the shutters by then. So our main concern of the whole thing is, A, with the business hours going until 9:30, 10 o'clock, is that foot traffic will be, obviously you're saying there's no more than 10 people, but if there's 10, 12 people coming out at the same time of a place where they've been having alcohol, it still affects people no matter what age group, in terms of they don't really understand their surroundings as much or how noisy they are. So for us, it still affects like how we're going to go about our sort of day-to-day life. It still means we're going to be staying up later. It means our sleep's going to be affected. I work in professional cricket, so we work a lot of early mornings and weekends and stuff. That's just like part of our job. And a lot of the basis on recovery and being able to play the sport at a high level is making sure our recovery is as good as it can be. And I'm not a great sleeper at the best of times. So people coming in and out might maybe being noisy, which to you might not be of concern. You don't think they're going to be that noisy, but it really does put an effect on how I will go about my day-to-day life. And I know my partner Alice works early mornings and late nights doing Pilates and stuff as well. So there are parts of that which are of big concern to us, having people in and out of the property at late hours, because we haven't really experienced that much. And that's just what I wanted to basically put forward. I understand obviously that you're looking to gain consumers and more income for your business. Like, I completely get it. Obviously it's a really tough market for it at the moment as well, especially with the way the climate is currently. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of put that across before I left, because I need to, we're in the middle of a game, so I need to go back to play right now. So I just wanted to say that. So sorry for interrupting anyone that in that way. I wasn't meaning to. It's just I want to try and put my point across before I go back to work.
No,
But,
that's
yeah,
fine.
thank you.
Inga, perhaps if you could kindly respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really anticipate any increase in the number or the noise that is going on. We've been off doing tours sometimes at Fridays. We used to do Friday 6 and 8, 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. And we certainly haven't really had much noise or any complaints generated from that. So I think it's also, we're conscious that, you know, we won't be running these events, you know, every night of the week until 9:30, because our license, it just allows the flexibility to do something on a Wednesday or something on a Friday, rather than having to change our license every time we decide we want to do an event on a specific day, because we might want to get in another distiller from another distillery, and they might only be available on a Wednesday, so we might do it on a Wednesday one week. But then so I think the fact that we haven't had any complaints, or you can't hear any noise so far from the events that have been going on, I think should hopefully reassure the residents that we're not really going to increase the noise level.
Okay. Any comment from you, Finn?
No, obviously, yeah, at the moment we obviously haven't had any noise complaints, because from my side we haven't obviously had the opportunity, in terms of this hasn't begun yet. I know it's just being proposed, so at this moment in time we obviously haven't given any noise complaints, because we haven't heard anything, but that's because these hours haven't changed. So that's the only thing I'd say is, like, until it happens, which obviously at the moment we're not too happy about, is just the fact that until we know, we will be in, obviously it will be a struggle for us if it goes ahead, and then obviously we get noise around at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and that's when we'll be able to sort of say, oh, well, it's been allowed to go ahead. We don't really have any foot to stand on. So, yeah, it's obviously at the moment, like, we haven't got any noise complaints. Obviously, in our application, we stated that it is noisy during the day. Like, when we have days where Alice is working from home or I've got a day off, then yeah, we obviously notice the noise in and around, but that's just part and parcel of living in a neighbourhood at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Like, that's going to happen. It's more the concern that we don't want that to creep into later in the evening, when obviously we need the time to sort of wind down.
Yeah.
Can I just respond to that, in that the license at the moment is already till 9:30, Tuesday to Saturday, and there are events that have been going on for the past 6 years. So this that go on till, you know, until 9:30. So the fact that you haven't heard them just means that would mean that they're well managed, rather than it's not that they haven't. Our license already allows us to do tours and tastings, and we have had people in to those times. So.
Okay, thank you. We'll go back to the panel asking questions. Obviously, Finn, if you have to leave the meeting, then just exit when you can. And obviously, there'll be an opportunity for other residents to ask questions in a moment. I've just got a question first of all. So, in terms of the site, so you actually mentioned there's another business there, a sewing business.
Yeah,
so is
Brighton
it
Sewing Company. There is
okay?
also a Ukrainian charity that collects donations to go to Ukraine, and so that is often being collected, moved into the distillery, and they've got 2 units in there, and then those are moved out and loaded up on onto lorries and then shipped out to Ukraine. There was another company in Proper Copper, and but they recently moved out and relocated to the other side of Brighton. So there are other businesses that are moving stuff in and out all the time as well.
I thought that was the case because I pretty much know where you are. I thought there's more businesses in the two. So in terms of your business, how many people work within the business and located at that site?
So it's me and my partner, Ian Curtis. So we're the two people working there. We occasionally have a distillery assistant helping out with bottling and labelling. And then we also have some marketing support, but she's mostly off-site. And I would say I'm probably mostly off-site and go in and out. I'm not in there 9 to 5.
Okay, and percentage-wise, roughly, your business, what sort of percentage-wise is your take on the site?
In terms of our turnover, it's probably 10. Oh, do you mean area or do you mean cash?
Yeah, so it's just an area, yes. In terms of the site's area, yeah.
We've got one of the smaller units right at the back. So if you you'll see from the I think you can see on the course on page 37 of the proceedings document, you'll see a plan of the building, and you can see unit 7 is the one in the sort of bright pink, and you can see the where the main entrance is at the front there. So you can see that we're kind of at the back. So the windows that we have in the distillery don't look onto 85. You can't actually see into the distillery from 85. You can only see the building itself.
Right. Okay. And one final question, I'll give way to my fellow
Just
councillor.
on that, can I just butt in? Can you see it from West?
No. Sorry, there'll be a moment for residents to ask questions. So just hold fire with your question for one moment.
Yeah.
And last question, Inga. So you mentioned about the building on the market. So can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, so it's not owned by us. It's owned by so our landlord has put the building on the market last year and wasn't able to sell it for the amount that they wanted to. So they took it off the market and then it's been placed back on the market. And we don't know whether people will buy either to have their business in there or to redevelop it and that kind of thing. There is also 85A is at the back of 85, which is the same landlord as 85. So my understanding is that has planning permission to be converted into sort of a couple of small mews houses and a workshop at the back. And it's that is probably closer to the distillery itself.
Okay, so if the site is sold, or are you planning yourself to move out or to relocate at some point, or do you wish to stay there?
Because of the uncertainty, we are looking around for other premises. So there are a couple of empty units. As mentioned, the people upstairs, Proper Copper, moved out recently because of the uncertainty within the building. And it's never very nice as as a company to know that you could have the rug pulled out with you at any moment. So we are looking around, but it is quite difficult to find workshop space within the sort of Hove area of that sort of designation. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Powers?
Actually, do you want to go to Councillor Nan, because he was interrupted with his questions, and then I'll come in after.
Yeah, sure. Councillor Nan?
I was going to say Councillor Parrott, go ahead, but just two quick questions. So it says, and I'm going back to the changed condition. It says ancillary and independent there. Both those things are open to interpretation. So would you be willing to accept a kind of tighter definition of ancillary and independent if it was even possible to produce one?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. And can I quickly ask, how much is drunk at the tasting events, or how much would be drunk? I know you're not doing them.
So yeah, the one when we currently have, we would imagine it was similar to as the tours that we run at the moment, where we run where we have a large gin and tonic, which is 50 mils of gin, and then we have very small tasters, which are probably only another 50 mil in total of spirits.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Power, do you wish to ask any questions?
Yeah. Can I just check how many tours are you currently running at the moment?
So it's
How
very
many would you
variable.
say? What is it like in a week or a month or?
Yeah, in the summer we generally put on 2 on a Friday and 2 on a Saturday, and we that's probably about the maximum that we would want to run in a week. So
only on a Friday and a Saturday.
Yeah.
And with the tastings, would you kind of envisage similar kind of, are you envisaging a lot more, I guess, are you going to market this heavily and try and promote it?
No, I think we would look to run about the same number and try and fill them. So maybe a few more, but certainly not, no more than 5 or 6 in a week.
Okay. Do you see this as kind of a really core part of your business, or is this kind of an add-on as a way of, as a marketing tool?
It works as a bit of as a marketing tool to try and bring people into the distillery, teach them about craft spirits, and that hopefully they become then customers and ambassadors for the distillery as well. So in terms of the cash turnover, it's a small contribution, but we do see that, when it comes to Christmas, people who come on a tour are then placing orders and things like that.
Got it. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. No further questions from myself. Any other questions from any other? No? Okay. So if there are no further questions from the panel, we'll now go to the residents to ask questions. So likewise, if you've got any questions, click on the raise hand button. So any resident would like to ask a question at this moment?
Yeah. No, all I was going to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Was,
Julian.
Yeah, sorry, it was what I was sort of going to say earlier. As the location for the distillery, does it backs onto Westbourne Road, does it? At the end of the gardens of Westbourne Road?
No, we don't, because we only have windows one side. The other side is the corridor, so it's not actually, and it's the Brighton Sewing Company unit that has its back onto the gardens on Westbourne Street, I think it is.
Oh, okay, I just didn't know if it affected any other people, because the sign was put outside of ours, outside 85. I didn't know if the actual, if it could affect anyone in Westbourne Road or any other residents, because it's only us that have come on there by the looks of it, and there was the only one sign that was put up was outside our flat, so it wouldn't affect any of the other surrounding area. That's what I'm getting at in a long way.
No, because we kind of in where we are in the distillery, there's sort of buildings and corridors and things in the way, so it doesn't really, we're not adjacent to Westbourne Street.
And no one would be in their back garden and hear anything?
No.
No. Okay, fair enough. That's me done for a minute.
Okay, thank you, Julian.
Yes.
Any other questions from residents at this moment?
Alice has got her hand up.
Say something.
Yeah, go for Alice.
Yeah. Yes. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah.
I just to pose. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to ask, sort of what one of the other panels said, is that your aim is assuming to increase business and therefore increase tours and increase tastings. Obviously, if it's all controlled at the moment, as you say, by opening up hours to later each night, I assume your aim would be to increase your business and therefore foot traffic. Would that be correct?
I think what you're asking was about the sorry, it was just a little bit distorted, about increasing the number of foot traffic and the number of tours. I mean, obviously we are looking to do tours and continue them. We've been quite successful, and there's only a limited number of people within the Brighton and Hove area that would only come on a tour once. So we want to make sure that we can offer tours to local people that can come a second time. I don't envisage that we will have we won't be having you know, tours every evening and every weekend and all through the weekend. For once, it's impossible to get that many people to come on tours. But I would also be open to, if the licensing panel felt that it is appropriate, to limit the number of tours that we can have per week to reassure the residents that that we aren't in the process of opening up some sort of bar or some kind of create lots of noise where there would be huge amounts of people coming in and out. I just but so I think that might be one way of reaching some sort of compromise, so that the residents can be reassured that there won't be 100 tours a week, which for us isn't really feasible, because we would never be able to actually book enough people to go onto that. But if you wanted to limit it by like five tours a week or something like that, then we'd be happy to accept a condition like that.
Okay. Yes.
But can I say one other thing as well? That's what about, there was something last year where you can see that there's signs out that are enticing people to come in for a tasting. What you've mentioned, and that was also around sort of open house, a Brighton open house, which is obviously a great you know, thing around Brighton Hove. Is that something that, you know, when you've said that the tastings and the tours are all booked, pre-booked, they're, you know, able to be identified how many people are coming in and how many tours you're doing, and they're pre-booked? If you have signage out the front, which I'm fairly sure I have seen at one point, enticing people, is that something that you're doing, or is it quite strict that you will have to keep to pre-booked and it will have to be documented?
So we have operated within our license what we call cellar door sales, which is something where people are able to come into the distillery. We've done it either the Saturday before Christmas, and also in collaboration with one of the other businesses, Proper Copper, that used to be upstairs, as part of the May Festival. And with those events, we don't have any drinking as part of that, because of to do the drinking on the premises, you need to have the you need to book a pre-booked tour. So we would still plan to operate those cellar door sales within our current license, and this variation doesn't make any changes to that of how that operates at the moment. So there's nothing within this variation that is relevant to those kind of open door sales. So that's just that people are able, can
so
come in.
If there was a sign out the front that said come in for a tasting, is that allowed? Is that not allowed?
Well, it doesn't.
Just want to clarify that.
We've never said come in for a tasting. I think we ensure that it's the cellar door sales are exactly that. They're cellar door sales, so they're using the premises license that we've got to be able to sell products as people walk in from the street.
Okay.
Just one question for
Sounds
me,
like-
Inga.
oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go back to the resident again.
Oh, no, that's okay. That if that is what it has to be, I would, if that is in writing and that's in clarified as to what you are able to do, then, you know, obviously that's absolutely fine. If that then, you know, those things are open, as I have seen, you know, is that grounds for things to be changed? That's sort of what I would be worried about, because that's what I've seen. Really lightly, you know, nothing has happened, as we've said, as my partner said, we haven't really had any huge issues, but I have seen that as an option, and what you're, you know, going for today or with your application, you're saying that it has to all be in writing and pre-booked. So I just wanted to clarify what's allowed and what's not, so we know what's possible, if you know what I mean. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Yeah, just one question to Inga. You mentioned that if the panel were minded to limit the number of tours to say 5 a week, would you be agreeable if the number of tours on any particular day was limited to say no more than 2 tours on a day?
Yes, that would be fine as well. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Any other questions or points from the residents? It's your last opportunity.
Right. No, I know I harped on about it a couple of times before, but the old copper place that is moved now is being developed, as Inga said. And I know it's nothing to do with this application, but that has an impact on us. And I know, you know, it has, but I think it will have maybe an impact on Inga's business as well. But it's just both the factors from me and from my wife is the regeneration or the of making the 2 houses, and what's going on with this application as well. It's the 2 aspects, really. I know they're 2 totally different cases, but from a resident, and the same with upstairs with Finn, and that's it's going to be a lot of disruption, really, from both points of view. But I do realise it's got nothing to do with this application, but it will be redeveloped where the copper people have moved out. They've moved out for a reason, because it's going to be developed into 2 houses. So that is disruption for us, totally separate to this application, but also we might have both of it going on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, duly noted. Thank you. Any other comments finally from any other residents? No, okay. So what we're doing now, we'll move on to summaries. Can I remind all parties that at this point, you shouldn't be introducing any new information that hasn't already been raised as part of the representations. So we'll now begin with a summary from Emily, the licensing officer.
Thank you, Chair. As we've heard, this is an application for a variation to the premises licence for Madam Jennifer Distillery. Tightening up the definition of independent producers in condition 1 has been discussed, and it has also been proposed to limit the number of tours per week and the number of tours per day. Licensing guidance states that in determining the application with a view to promoting the licensing objectives in the overall interest of the local community, the licensing authority must give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, the representations including supporting information presented by all the parties, the licensing guidance and its own statement of licensing policy. The licensing authority must carry out its functions with a view to promoting the licensing objectives. It is important to note that each application will be given individual consideration on its own merits. After considering all the relevant issues, the licensing authority may grant the application subject to such conditions that are consistent with the operating schedule and any conditions canvassed. If the panel decide to grant the application, then any conditions added to the licence to meet the licensing objectives should be clear, precise and enforceable. Alternatively, the licensing authority may refuse the application on the grounds that it is appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Emily. Any summaries from any of the residents who would like to make a statement? You don't have to. Okay. Any summary from the applicants?
Just that I'd like to reassure the residents that this is a sort of quite minor variation, and that we the conditions within our current license are already quite strict in terms of the maximum number of 10 people per license. And we get shown in and shown to, they all take place within the distillery itself and not outside in the car park or anything like that. And we are located at the back, so that we don't anticipate any increase in noise or anything like that as part of this price license variation. But minded that we are in a shared building and there are other people and other noises and things that go on with that.
Thank you. I think, Alice, you clicked that you wanted to have a summary statement.
No, sorry.
No.
I think that's up. My hand's up from earlier. Don't know how to put it down. Sorry.
That's fine. Any other closing comments from anybody else? Yes, Rebecca. Yes.
No, just through you, Chair. I mean, so a couple of conditions have been canvassed. One, I mean, and obviously this is for the panel to decide whether they are appropriate or not and proportionate. One, I think, was about limiting the number of tours. Is it just tours and not tastings? You just wanted to limit tours possibly, or that was your offer, and it was 5 or 6, I think. I don't know.
5, Rebecca, was mentioned.
Yes, well, I mean, and was that just tours, or would it be tastings as well? I don't know.
If I can just clarify, so our license at the moment is for distillery tours, and we're applying for the sort of wording changes to be it's pre-booked tour or tasting event, and so the idea would be that would be all together. So it'd be a maximum of 5 or maybe 2 per day of events. And it might be a better or pre-booked if tasting event or tour.
So,
Thank you.
so a tasting event takes place within a tour. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, we joke that you can see everything sat down within the distillery. It's not really a tour. It's more of a sort of information session and a description of craft distilling and that kind of thing. So it's kind of so it's a tour or event or tasting event. But yeah, I would say that they were the same thing. The difference is whether we're just serving our own spirits or whether we're also tasting spirits and maybe some wines from other producers.
Right. Well, it would be up to the panel, but you're saying you would be acceptable. It would be acceptable to say 5, or do you want? I mean, 5 tours and then what? Anyway, that's something that you would be agreeable to if the panel thought it was necessary. The other thing was that I think you mentioned, Chair, that you were not that happy with the condition. What I mean, the police have put forward that wording. What was your thinking on in terms of the wording? I wasn't quite clear what that would look like, or whether it was. I mean, sales of alcohol will predominantly be limited to Madam Jennifer's distillery, with other independent producers' products being ancillary to this.
For you, Chair, that was me. I'm not entirely sure what independent seller is, what an independent producer is, or what ancillary means. So it was just, if it were possible, it might just be that it has to be like that. But if it were possible to better define independent and better define ancillary, that would please me.
I don't know how you could do that. I mean, I think I don't know. Don't know if the applicant has any thoughts on that or not.
It was the police that suggested that wording. I mean, I would generally think about independent producers as being not publicly limited companies. And that predominantly would be that if you come in the distillery and look at our shelves, 80% plus of it is Madam Jennifer products, we haven't got any room to store any other products. So I think you could be enforceable like that if a visit from the police or somebody and saw that we had, you know, shelves full of Fosters, then I think that would be.
I wasn't quite thinking that, but I'm aware that there are a number of pseudo-independent alcoholic products that are, you know, that give the impression that they're small batch, as you might say, but are actually owned by large breweries. But I mean, it's not that important. And ancillary, I'm really not sure what that would look like. Whether that would be less than 49% of your sales would be your stuff, and you know, anything above that, it would stop being ancillary. But yeah.
I think ancillary would be, you know, a lot. And you're saying roughly 80% of your own products. And anyway, I think, yeah, it's up to you, the panel, really, when we deliberate to look at that. But okay, I don't think there's anything I've got to add, unless you've got any questions of me at this stage. Okay.
No, thank you, Rebecca. So last shout out, any final closing comments from anybody? No. Okay. So what will happen now is that the panel will now retire to make its decision. Please note, we will be accompanied by the legal advisor and the clerk to the panel, but they will take no part in the decision-making process. The decision will be sent in writing within 5 working days, with naturally appeal rights attached. So without further ado, thank you for all attending today's listening, and we'll be in touch within 5 working days.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Chair. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.